This meeting of the Norwood City Council is hereby called to order. Please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, as a body we congregate in these council chambers. We pray for thy divine guidance, that we may do all things well, according to thy holy will. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Whittington. Ms. Allen.
Here.
Mr. Thornberry.
Here.
Mr. Sanker.
Here.
Mr. Mumper.
Here.
We do have 6 members present. We will proceed. We have 2 requests to amend the agenda. The first is to add a Finance Committee report, and the second is to add an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Mumper.
I move we amend the agenda as you just stated.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes.
Mr. Sanker.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have the minutes from the March 24th, 2015 meeting distributed in your packets. Mr. Thornberry,
Yes, Madam President, I move that we accept the minutes as if read.
seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes.
Mr. Sanker.
Yes.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We do have 2 requests to address council, but they are not on items on the agenda, so we will deal with those later on in the agenda. We'll move on to reports of standing committees. Mr. Sanker.
Thank you, Madam President. We are Committee of Finance and Claims, to whom these items were referred, the 2015 appropriations. We beg leave to submit the following report. We made adjustments to various funds, including the Earnings Tax Department, Building Department, Parks, Health Department, Earnings Tax Refunds, Drug Enforcement, Homeland Security, and Capital Projects Funds 1 and 2, along with a few other smaller funds, along with decreasing Fund 02 and Fund 01, which is a subsidy to our bond retirement fund. We also discussed looking into replacing the health inspector position, which has been vacant for the past year. This was respectfully submitted, Joe Sanker, John Mumper, and Steve Thornberry.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that the committee report be accepted.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Ms. Allen.
Yes. I was wondering, could you elaborate a little more? You talked about discussing replacing the health inspector position. Was there any more than that? Were there any decisions made or just?
Mr. Sanker.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. We discussed filling the position, but we needed additional information as far as what the position would pay, what would be involved with as far as appointing somebody to that position, as far as the posting of the position, and along with if it needs to be tested. So it's something we want to pursue and keep moving forward on it. However, it wasn't something we could do tonight without that additional information. So once we gather that, then hopefully we can post that health inspector to get somebody back in there. Yeah, because
Ms. Allen.
Yes. I was glad to see it there. So I just was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Sanker, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just on that same thing. I know Joe Chalfon, who was our food inspector, sanitarian. He had retired, and we did hire a lady who came from Sharonville when they closed their department. She had the same type position out on Sharonville. So we still then, because between Joe and the nurses, they were trying to fill in on the health inspection part of it temporarily but it's at a point now where the all the grass starting to grow, there's just a lot more inspections that really need to be done that the three of them really aren't capable of doing. So we do need to move forward on that. So.
The motion on the floor is to receive and file the committee report. Is there any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have no third or second reading of ordinances, so we'll move on to the introductory reading of ordinances, and that's an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark? Yes. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries.
Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that the ordinance be passed.
Seconded by Mr. Clark. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present, excuse me, voting aye, the motion carries. We'll move on to, we have no administration report, so we'll move on to other requests to address council. And the first is Cindy, pardon me if I pronounce these wrong, Zerowick and Jeff Yoring. If you could give us your name and address, and then you'll have 5 minutes to address council.
My name is Cindy Zerowik. I'm here with my husband Jeff Jorling, and we live at 4163 Forest Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly 2 weeks ago, my husband and I sent an email to the members of City Council, those who are running for mayor, as the mayor and the safety director. With the exception of Chuck Russ, not one person responded to our concerns. Not one person. I also called Joe Gears, and he neglected to return my call. We do pay taxes in Norwood, and I'd like to open up with a question. Can anyone here today give us one reason why you wouldn't put a stop sign at the intersection of Forest and Madison?
I may be able to help you with that.
Okay.
I did speak to the mayor about this, and he indicated that there had been a traffic study done, and that there was a recommendation not to put that up.
That's not true. I
But-
was in that meeting with Keith Moore, when Keith Moore was on council. I'm sure that's the traffic study. he's
I don't
talking
know,
about.
but I'm in the process of trying to get that, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so if
That's
you'll
fine.
go ahead and proceed.
Anyway, and I did leave a message for Mr. Gears, but he neglected to return my call. We had emailed the City of Norwood to stop ignoring the increased traffic and speeding and accident issues that are occurring on Forest Avenue between Smith and Williams. We want our neighborhood back. We want our streets safe again for our families. Forest Avenue is not Smith Road, and Forest Avenue is not Montgomery Road. We have to stop the traffic that has accumulated on Forest Avenue. At this time, there's over 1,000 cars daily crossing that intersection. And it's not so much the number of the cars that are crossing, it's the speeds that these cars are driving. My elderly neighbor across the street, who is a single elderly woman, suffers from MDS, and she's actually unable and afraid to cross Forest Avenue at certain times of the day. She reached out to the mayor and the safety director and asked why the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs were taken down. The person who answered the phone told her, "Don't expect the city to do anything on Forest. The mayor has made this a through street and will not put up any speed signs or stop signs." My neighbor's crushed, my neighbor's very afraid. And with that, Williams is actually a true through street from Smith to Montgomery, and there are four-way stop signs all over the place. I actually purchased a radar gun on my own. Yes, I did. And I've been recording the speeds of people going down Forest Avenue. In one example, in less than 1/2 hour, I recorded 84 cars crossing this intersection with speeds on Forest Avenue ranging from 34 to 62 miles an hour. Not one person was driving the speed limit. In fact, the person who was driving 62 miles an hour did give me an obscene gesture when they saw that I was actually recording their speed. I've spoken with a lot of families on our street who have young children, and all have said to me, Cindy, give it up. The mayor doesn't care. We've been trying to get them to make changes for years. They just don't care. My neighbor directly across the street, who has an 8-month-old child, I spoke to him tonight before I was coming. He said, Cindy, as soon as Kara is big enough to play outside, we will be leaving Norwood. Our street is not safe. Will it take a fatality before we merit concern? There's an elementary school on the corner of Forest Avenue, yet there's not one stop sign between Smith and Williams on Forest. Our question is why?
And to address your concern, I've come here before and addressed this. The mayor refused to even give us a reason why he would not. He just said no. I think, as a matter of fact, I talked to John about this, and he wouldn't give John a reason why he would not do it. Keith Moore was on council then. Keith did have a meeting and had a traffic study done. And the traffic study guy said, well, you know, we don't put up stop signs because what we do is we put up traffic circles or street bump outs to make the street skinnier. That's what you should do. Well, we all know that Norwood doesn't have a whole lot of money. Nobody's going to spend any money on street bump outs. So the last question, if that thing is still available, was I said, that's all great. Now, can you answer this question? If you put a stop sign at the corner of Madison and Forest, would it slow traffic down on Forest Avenue? And his answer was yes. Okay? So that was the sure, in a perfect world, you wouldn't put a stop sign there. You would bump out the sidewalk so that the cars would have to slow down because the main problem with Forest is it's wide. And if you put the bump outs there, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, the concrete things that kind of stick out at the corner, so it makes the street narrower, so people have to slow down. That's what he suggested we do. He didn't say there's no problem with speeding cars on Forest Avenue. So, you know, in that sense, that's the real issue. And you know, and the issue is, you know, we go out and work in the yard, and these cars are going, I mean, they're flying by, and there has to be a way to stop this. And just because it's a through street. And the last time I came here, somebody did actually put up 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs, but now they're all gone.
They've taken them down, and the through street signs are down. And I mentioned that there was an accident on December 22nd, and the officer and I spoke, and the officer said to me, he said, I don't know why they refuse to put up stop signs here. And he said, you cannot see, if you're crossing Madison and there are cars parked on Forest Avenue, you just see people edging up, praying that they can see the oncoming cars. And I said, same thing. And yeah, you can go and put your big radar sign at the street, but everybody sees those and everybody slows down. As soon as you take them down, people are back to speeding. But yeah, I do have my own radar gun. And
just one other comment is the reason it's downhill both ways
into the intersection.
So it's much harder to see cars coming than it would be if
And
it were flat.
I've also heard people say, friends of mine say, I don't even know I'm speeding on Forest Avenue just because of how
It's
is.
such a long stretch of road.
It is almost a half a mile with no signs.
So I guess our question is, can you guys help us?
Just
Yes, Mr.
Just
Zucker.
one comment. You are correct. I did not call you. I didn't speak with you, but I have been in contact with the police chief, and we've been communicating back and forth on some actions that he's looking to do in that area. But as far as I don't know how long the study was done, and I don't really have a copy of it or even know where it might be. But he did kind of recommend having something like that done again, even though just so you have some backing to help us or them make some more firm decisions, I guess, on that. But he is got some things that he's looking into for us as well. So we have been working on this between the two of us, and hopefully you'll see something going on. So,
Okay. like I said with the traffic study, I sat here in that whole meeting, and basically the guy was like, you know, in a perfect world, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. How long ago was it? 'Cause I'm
It
trying to
was,
think.
it
I don't throw a
it
lot
was
of
a while
stuff
ago.
away. I might.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And,
Along the same
and the
vein.
traffic has increased since then.
Oh, a lot. And
A
there's,
lot.
there's things that have attributed to, you had mentioned.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you closed the entrance ramp to to the lateral on Montgomery Road, you shifted a bunch of traffic onto Forest Avenue as well. I'm not saying you, but whoever made that decision shifted traffic onto Forest.
A lot of people.
Because people come now, instead of coming down Montgomery Road and getting on the lateral, if they're coming this way on Montgomery Road, coming north, they have to get over there. Instead of coming down Montgomery Road, they go over there because they don't have to stop on Forest. They can fly down Forest and cut through that way.
It's just really unsafe, and a lot of people have mentioned, I mean, backing out of your driveway. It's just, it can be, the cars come on very, very quick. And I actually clocked a woman coming from the school this morning going 52 miles an hour in her white SUV, and it's like, you know, I don't know that people know that it's 25 miles. There's one speed sign going north, whatever that, northwest. There's 0 going southeast, no speed signs. So a friend of mine said, I thought it was 35 just by looking at the street and
Most
the way people
think it's
drive.
35. Everybody goes 35.
That's the
normal
lowest.
speed.
That's the lowest people drive.
And that's 10 miles
And
an hour.
it's there's a lot of children that have moved into that neighborhood, and people are scared.
So is there anything else we can do?
Well, I just want to say that many times, if you don't hear from people, it's exactly this. We're doing homework behind the scenes.
I appreciate
I
that.
made phone calls, Mr. Sanker had made phone
I
calls.
appreciate that.
And so, when we have something to report to you, we will certainly do that. And I know I talked to the mayor, and he had mentioned the traffic study, and I'll see if I can get a copy of it. And
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Sanker's talked to the
I don't
police
know if you
chief.
guys keep the video. It was taped. So I don't know if you guys keep the videotapes on those things.
For-
Call it
fun.
Denver.
I think they're on YouTube.
All right.
Really? Yeah, okay.
So I don't, it's old, so I don't know if he did that, but I did know that he did.
Yeah,
Give a date, I mean, I can look it up, see if I have minutes.
And you might want to ask
it's
Keith.
probably,
actually.
It was good 4 years ago.
Keith
Okay.
might have.
okay,
Thank
Okay.
you.
great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is Virginia Newton. You'll just come forward and give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
I'm hard of hearing, I have to speak up.
If you'll just give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. And hope that you're well, you and your husband are well.
Virginia Newton at 1705 West Street, Norwood. What I'm here about is we live on a dead-end street. Since last year, there's been a basketball hoop placed in the street. Boys, teenagers, and some girls play. They're blocking a driveway across from 1713 West Street. Some of the children are residents of West Street, but now we are getting other teenagers and older, which I say are high school or above, who do not live on West Street or McNeil. When residents or any other cars come around the corner from McNeil and the kids are playing in the street, someone is going to get hit. Last week we had 2 hoops in the street, one across from the other. It is getting to be a nuisance, and the police have been called several times to no avail. I'm not the only one that's been calling. There's other neighbors that's been calling. The basket and kids are still playing in the street. Soon, 1 or more kids are going to get hurt. If the kids want to play basketball, they can go to Upper Millcrest Park, where they have a court. If we have to put up with this all summer, it is unacceptable. Several of our neighbors have called police also. We have had kids going through our yard to get to Sherman because our fence was broken down in the back of our garage, and we had to call police several times about it. And also we have bikes stolen, tools, extension ladders stolen from our yard and the back from the garage, back of the garage. And also a neighbor at the bottom of the hill had a ladder stolen. We and the neighbors want something done. They tell us when the police comes down, there's no ordinance. Here's the ordinance. It says placing injurious material or obstruction in the street. No person shall place any obstruction in or upon a street without proper authority. Now, doesn't that count as an obstruction? Because it's in the street. And there's a lot of people that live on that street now. And they don't have any place to park in front of 1713. They have a driveway, but the other people in the yard, in the house next door to us, they have several people that live in the house because it's a big house. And they have to park down the street if there's that basketball hoop is in the street. But the last time the police came was last week, and he talked to the kids, and finally the basketball hoops were moved into a driveway, which was across from 1713, and it belongs to the man on McNeil. They put the hoops there. Well, they start playing in there. Then they got they put one of the hoops back in the street again. And they look at you like, what are you doing coming down the street? And it's getting bad, and it's going to get worse this summer. We have kids that don't even belong on the street. They come from, I watched two of them, and I would say they were two, not high school kids, they were older. And they went up the street and went up McNeil, and I watched them as they went over to Sherman Avenue. Sherman Avenue, Carter, Cleveland are terrible. They stand on the corners over there. And, well, we had stuff stolen out of our yard, and they've even come up in the daytime. One kid came up one time. Our daughter was sitting in the back sunroom, and he come up on a bicycle. And he started in the backyard, and she went and told him, "What are you doing in our yard?" "Oh, I thought this was a cut through." And that's when we put up another fence. So, but we had our ladder stolen last week. The lady down the end of the street had her ladder stolen, and it was in their yard. They had to climb the fence. They had to pull up in the driveway, climb the fence, and take it over the fence, and it was gone. Extension ladders. And something has to be done. But we were told, well, there's no ordinance, that the police can't do anything. They come down and they tell them, 5 minutes later they're back. So I don't know, something has to be done. My 5 minutes are up. I could talk all night.
Ms. Allen, did you have a comment?
Sure, I have just a couple of questions and a comment. First question.
You'll have to speak up.
I have a couple questions and a comment. So do you have an idea when kind of this,
I'm sorry?
do you have an idea when the basketball hoops originally went up?
When did they originally go up?
When did what go
When
up?
did the basketball hoops originally
Last
go
year.
up?
How long have they been up?
Last year.
Last year, okay. And
Last
it's gotten
year,
worse.
and they've been up, they went up last year, but then the snow came and they couldn't play,
Right. And do you know who the hoops belong to?
No.
Okay,
They're one of those kind that you can roll anywhere.
got it.
One of the hoops, I think, belongs to one at 1708.
Okay.
They just recently bought the house, and I guess they've been there for about 2 years.
Okay.
But it was up in the yard when they bought the house,
Okay.
and they moved it down in the street,
Got it.
and it's just a nuisance. I mean, well, I was born and raised in Norwood. I live on the same street that I grew up on,
Right.
and it's never been like this.
And then I have one comment you did say there was a basketball hoop at Upper Millcrest, but it's no longer there. So my guess is
I don't know if it's there or not.
I do know.
It's not there.
It's not there anymore? Okay.
So my guess is that's probably some of the increase as well. And I'm pretty sure there's no basketball hoops now in any of the parks. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. So
Well, I was down there the other day for my grandson's baseball game, and I thought there was one up there, but I guess I'm wrong.
okay, so
Yeah.
I can try to follow up with that.
Okay, so Ms. Allen said that she's in your ward and she will follow up with you.
Okay. All righty.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, thank you. Yes, Mr. Mumper.
Yeah, I have one comment. We took the basketball hoops down at most of the parks because they never lasted.
I'm sorry?
We took the basketball hoops down at the parks because they were being ruined by people hanging on them. And we wind up with only a backboard. So that's might be what's down at Millcrest, is just a backboard without a hoop.
They've got a big yard across the street.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of complaints about kids playing at the park on basketball hoops,
Yeah.
not being residents and not being this and everything. So it was easier just to take them down.
There was plenty of kids down there the other day when I was down there for the baseball game, and they were playing on their slides and all this other stuff. And then there's a little shelter there where they've got picnic tables in. But if that could be fixed up,
Well,
and,
If she's going to keep talking, she should be on the
Yep,
microphone.
Ms. Newton, if you're
We have a
gonna-
TV audience that needs to hear what you're saying.
sorry. But if that could be fixed up, if the Millcrest Park could be fixed up and have them,
it has been. There's been-
advertise it.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of money put into it, and I know more people are coming down and using it. So it looks drastically different than it did
Yeah.
just 3 years ago. So there actually has been a lot done in that.
I know, I used to swim down there years ago.
Okay.
They even had a swimming pool down there. But it just seems like Norwood's not, it's going downhill. Everywhere. Don't shake your head.
I'm sorry, I disagree.
I think it is.
To make the general
At
statement
least
that Norwood is
West
going downhill.
At least West Norwood is.
Well, anybody else gets to pipe in here too, so I do too.
Order. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Newton, I appreciate it.
You did it, I'm going to do it.
We'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Madam President, just a reminder that this weekend, May 1st and 2nd, is the citywide street sale going on, and the weather looks very favorable, so people can get out and support the folks that are gathering materials to sell. I believe the seniors are going to be down at the center. You having a group down at the center, or you know?
I think they are.
For the
Sure they are.
So anyhow, just May the 1st and 2nd, the citywide street sale. So, thanks.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Any new business? I want to comment that I'm amazed that Mr. Mumper and Mr. Sanker are here tonight after viewing the variety show on Saturday night, the way they were moving. It was a very good variety show. I think Mr. Sanker's missed his calling. He talked about the $1 Million Quartet, and he gave us the $1.50 version, he said, of the $1 Million Quartet. But it was just,
all five of them.
he was all five, he was all four of them.
No, he was all five.
But anyway, I just wanted to thank you for doing that year after year. It's a great community event, and so
4 more years.
that sounds like a familiar
Yeah,
chant.
what
4 more
sense do you
years.
mean that?
So thank you for that. If you missed it, you really missed a fun weekend. All right, we have no other communications. We do have one member to excuse, Mr. Clark,
I move to excuse Ms. Reddington.
seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Mr. Braden,
I move we adjourn.
seconded by Mr. Clark. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.